Hey, Lee here helping you become a better plant parent. I have a bunch of monsteras that I'm trying to mature. As monsteras grow, their leaves often change and get fenestrations, which are those really cool holes in their leaves that make this plant so popular today. I have a few monsteras in my collection. Most of these plants I'm keeping in my bedroom, which has a little bit of lower light than the rest of my place. So I really want to move some of these plants to a higher light to get them to mature and fenestrate faster. The first plant I wanted to share is this plant, my soon-to-be favorite houseplant. This is the Monstera Collection. Now this plant is kind of like a budget-friendly Monstera Esqueleto. The leaf size and shape is a little bit similar to a Monstera Adansonii, but once it starts to fenestrate, the leaves get extremely large with a ton of fenestration, and it just has this amazing look. But because this plant has a tendency to vine out and it needs a lot more light than most other Monsteras, you don't really see a ton of mature versions of this plant, which is why I think it's not very popular. So as you can see, this plant is almost out of space on my bamboo pole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a top cutting and then a few additional leaf cuttings farther down the stem. I'll put the smaller leaf cuttings, hopefully into leca, and focus on keeping my top cutting in soil with a good climbing pole. If you're thinking about getting a plant like this, make sure that you have a lot of access to great light, and you make sure that you have it on a climbing pole to make this plant mature faster. It does take a very long time. The next plant that needs more light is my Monstera peru. I'm using a cedar pole to help this plant grow, and as you can see, the leaves are starting to get smaller as they get to the top, so I'm going to take a cutting from this plant. The cutting at the bottom is still producing larger leaves, so I'm going to leave that as is. My end goal with this plant is to get a lot of cuttings and really make a bushy, filled out plant. I'm going to leave the rest of this cutting as is so the plant can continue to grow. As it matures again, I'll continue to take more top cuttings from it. My newest plant is the Monstera subponatum. I bought this locally from a store in Ottawa, and it's just been growing in water, and I've also air layered a section. The roots are doing really well, so I'm going to split this plant in half, put one section into soil and one section into leca. There's not much else to say about this plant. I think it's pretty great. The leaves remind me of the philodendron tortum, and while the leaf shape doesn't change that much as it matures, I think the shape is kind of unique and I just like it. What do you know? My Monstera pinatipartita is doing just fine, and while it hasn't started to fenestrate just yet, it has been producing larger and larger leaves, and I know it hasn't started fenestrating because of the lack of light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repot this and give it something better to climb. Because the way this plant grows from the back, it really grows at a specific angle, so I'm going to put in a wide cedar pole for it to climb to make it easier for it to dig in. My Monstera adansonii is a classic. I've been growing this plant for a very long time, mostly in leca, and as it reached the top of around a 5-foot pole, the leaves started to get smaller, so I started to take some top cuttings from it, and I hope to continue to mature it up a 6-foot bamboo pole. It's aspirational. So anyway, I thought it was going to be cute and like end the video with me saying, well, that's the end of my Monstera collection, and then I'd pick up this giant plant, but I forgot that I watered it yesterday and it weighs about 45 pounds now. I need some help. Like the video, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.